Good morning, everyone. Hopefully, you haven't been waiting for 12 minutes, but thank you for watching and listening. This is the Women Leading Show. My name's Jo Baldwin-Trott. We're a tiny bit late going live, but these things happen. So it's really great to have you watching and listening, either right now or after this has been recorded. I'm really thrilled to be here. I'm the editor of the Women Leading book, and I'm thrilled to have my co-authors and co-hosts, Kim Adele-Platts and Jo Sumner with me. Hi, guys.
Hey, lovelies.
Hello.
Morning. Lovely to see you. Everyone's a bit smiling today because the sun's shining at last in the UK. Oh, and we've had good news about the lockdown. So I think we're all feeling a lot lighter and excited for what's about to come, which is all much more hopeful than kind of what we've had. So great to see you. How is everything? Kim, how's things up in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, lovely to see you guys. It's going well here, to be fair. I think the news has really helped because you just see people seeming to be so much more happy, and because we've got a line of sight, haven't we? We can see light at the end of the tunnel, and also because spring's coming, and you can't help but be cheery, can you, when you see the beautiful flowers and the brighter days, and the fact that we're no longer, for me personally, I'm not having to throw my child into nursery in the dark and pick her up in the dark as well. So that, I think, always brightens your mood, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. My first daffodils have come out. I remember my mum used to say that. It's like, yeah, I'm like, yes, daffodils. So funny. How's things for you, Jo, in Winchester? Your first spring in your new pad?
Absolutely, it's beautiful here, and so I'm 3-4 months in here, and at that point where I've made a group of contacts who are taking me beautiful places. So we went to Hilliers Gardens yesterday, which is near Romsey, and just delightful, playful, gorgeous, unstuffy. Going to spend a lot of time there looking at the amazing planting, and I met my first witch hazel tree and actually knew it was witch hazel, which was cool. They smell beautiful right now. So, it's just a delight. I personally am feeling that we still got away in lockdown. So I was a bit like, oh, I have to wait until the end of June. No. So there's some of us who are like desperate to get out sooner. I'm desperate to see my mum. Oh my goodness. I'm sure so many of our listeners and watchers are feeling the same. So I'm going to be that voice of, yes, I can see an end in sight, but it's too far away. And I just want to press fast forward. But still, it's coming back stage by stage, and thank goodness for the sunshine. That helps so much.
Yeah, it really does. But you're right, it's different for everyone. That's definitely the whole thing with this whole time, isn't it? It's always different for everyone. So well, it's been a really interesting few months for me and what's going on with the Women Leading. We are obviously doing a different format now. So we are having a live show once a month, and then one of our shows will be, they're fortnightly still, but they will be pre-recorded, and then sent out live, obviously. So later on today, we're going to be speaking to the incredible founder of Soul Sisters, called Asma Begum. She is a survivor of domestic abuse, but we're going to focus on the fact that she's turned her sadness to success, and she really has. So we're going to record that show after this one and then post it live for you in a couple of weeks. So you can look forward to that 2 weeks today. So, but this show we'd like to, because, generally Kim, Jo and I don't really get to talk about what we do. And we are going to be able to talk about more of that today. And also our very first and very exciting first forum. And I just want to let you know, it's obviously we are the Women Leading Show and we are a forum. But as you hopefully know, the Women Leading book, which I just happen to have it, is not just about women. We've got a lot of male voices in our book. And in there are voices, they are coaches, they are helpers, healers, international men that do international work that are really valuing the Women Leading message, which actually is all about equality and leading differently. So Ascending Leadership will be our first forum. And obviously Ascending Leadership out of lockdown when you saw that title, Kim, because I did come up with that, and I just was tuning in and letting something come in. And by the way, it's going to be on the 23rd of March, Tuesday the 23rd at 6 p.m. GMT. So should be okay for anyone sort of stateside. So what did you think of that, guys, when I came up with, because we did come up with a very long sort of random title, but I really felt that sort of encapsulated what we were trying to make this event about.
You know, I completely agree. And I think it's, I think we're seeing, aren't we, all over the world, where people are facing those challenges around how do we lead effectively and lead our people. And we see a lot of talk about how we ensure that we are providing the right support for our people and ensuring that they are mentally fit and that they've got the support that they need to thrive, not just during lockdown, but post-lockdown. But actually, what I'm also seeing a lot of is leaders needing that for themselves as well. I don't know if many people saw, I'm sure they did, the recent piece from the chairman of KPMG, who got vilified for how he had responded to his people. But for me, when you look at some of the pictures, you kind of look at it and see the amount of stress and pressure that he's also under. And I think we've got to look at it and say, actually, how do we ensure that we are providing the right levels of support and infrastructure for leaders at all levels? Because actually, as the old adage says, you know, you have to put your oxygen mask on first before you can help somebody else. And I never really understood that. I was thinking, actually, if I were ever in that position, I'd want to put it on Scarlett. And then I realized that actually I'm no help to her if I can't breathe, because I won't be able to support. And I think there's a real cry at the moment for our senior leaders to be able to get the right support to enable them to provide that support to the people that they are leading.
Yeah, absolutely, because they've been holding that space, and especially hopefully in more already compassionate environments. And you know, we all know this. We all work up with energy on a level. That's a big space, and it's been a year. It virtually has almost been a whole year now of ups and downs and continuous challenges. So yeah, no, that it's an exciting topic and a very positive one. How about you, Joe? What did you feel about the top of the subject, and obviously about the event?
Also, my feeling about the event, it's an opportunity for people to be real about what they're facing and to learn from their peers and to learn from people who, you know, are just another step along the road, so that they can make sure that they've got what they need. And so in a way, it's very similar to what Kim is saying. It's that opportunity to equip yourself with what you need and to actually have the time to think about what you need in order to keep stepping up. I think the thing that I've observed over the last year is certainly for people holding space for others, there have been waves, right? So there have been waves where people have risen to the challenge. So certainly at the beginning of the first lockdown for the first couple of months, rise to the challenge. And then that sort of, you know, it's like going up a hill and you get a bit winded, but you can see you've got loads further to go. And then getting a second wind and then off you go. And then, you know, it's like this. And actually, we all need to allow for the fact that that energy takes a lot from us to process it, to hold it for other people. I'm particularly conscious of how empathic people are becoming. So I'm personally working a lot with people who are holding energy, but not necessarily noticing how much they're actually taking on the energy that they're holding. And so that's a skill. That's a different skill, isn't it? To hold it without embodying it, without holding on to it. So for me, it's an opportunity to talk about all those sorts of things and to just get a lot more human. You know, that's it for me. It's be human about your leadership. And the thing about human is that the human spirit is incredible. What it can overcome is incredible. So that's a huge potential. To say to be human is a huge potential, but also human comes with the bits that feel a bit more fragile, a bit more vulnerable from time to time.
Yeah, definitely, and it's showcasing in a way, to use sort of professional speak, but it's a really important time to do that. I just want to sort of raise not an issue, a very sad case actually. And I really feel actually is a time for organisations to really review what they've done before and create space for actually considering what can we do better now if we're going to be more considerate, kind, aware of mental health. So sadly, I mean, I personally was very upset and impacted by this story. A police officer called Doug Franks was on doing some work, and he arranged a meeting with another WPC. They met in a car for a brief meeting to discuss a case, went their separate ways, and someone spotted them, which sounds awful in itself, but this is how it was phrased in the paper. Someone spotted them, reported it, and then he was obviously put through a discipline, put immediately on discipline for obviously breaking the rules. I'm not here to talk about the COVID and the rules side of things. What I would like to just raise is that I personally know from 9 years of policing how the police structure and systems work. And I may be slightly out of date with my knowledge, but I have spoken to police officers recently that are friends. And I know how the police work. So the minute an allegation comes in, you are literally hauled in. You are given that initial, and it's dealt with the same way almost as if you had committed murder. And I'm not exaggerating, but you will be initially interviewed, and then you will be possibly suspended. It depends. He wasn't suspended, but the stigma and the huge, the very negative kind of label that you then get as a police officer within the police. I'm not talking outside, but within, that has broken the rules potentially. I know personally from experience because that happened to me. And what I would just like to raise with anyone watching this, or hopefully I'd like to raise this at the event, is we can actually not just consider ourselves and how we personally as leaders, but what areas of our organisations work less than humanly and could be more human and compassionate. And this is obviously an extreme case. It's the police, and it's someone who is in one of these huge public service organisations. But it can appeal to anyone to actually look at how they treat, serve their own staff and their clients, and bring that humanness. And I know, Kim, I read your quote the other day from the Women Leading book about humanness, about being human, and you just said it as well, Jo. But it's definitely the time for that, isn't it? I was personally really, really upset by that, because this officer has now been found dead at his home, and he's left a son. And he was, prior to that, very happy, very content, and very dedicated police officer. We can only draw conclusions from that because we don't know what the facts are. However, I just feel that it's not just, it shouldn't be, what I'm saying is, it shouldn't just be a throwaway statement that we'll be more compassionate. We need to be looking at our systems, the way we structure what we do, everything across the board. I would hope is looked at with slightly different eyes now.
It makes me feel we need to be more careful with our power, because the police as an organisation has the power to put in place a certain protocol, which results in human effects, like the stigma of being under investigation. And it's such a powerful example of what stigma does, and particularly if it's not yet, if there's no proof of wrongdoing, or if there's no compassion about a blurring. We don't know anything in detail about this particular case, so I'm not speaking about this particular case, but I feel at the moment that we need to look at motive a lot. People have responded so differently over the course of the pandemic to the rules. Some people following them, some people sort of policing them in a vigilante sort of way. I mean, I was astonished. I moved away from London during the lockdown, and I absolutely loved living in the area of London. I did, but I was really disheartened by the encouragement in local social media to tell on each other. If something apparently following the rules. It was really, it turned my stomach a little bit, actually. And I think that sort of, it's like an organism turning inward and eating itself, rather than cultivating the emotionally more difficult ability to say, that might not be how I would behave, but I'm not in their shoes. I don't know what it's like for them. And therefore, I have to allow for the fact there might be information there that I don't know about, or just it's different for them. It's different. So they need something different. I have a lot of teacher friends, and I'm seeing it at the moment with the return to school. Everything from so excited, can't wait, just get back to some kind of normality, to people who are horrified at being sent back to work, feel like guinea pigs. They haven't been fast-tracked. They feel so vulnerable because of that. They think that schools are, sites of transmission like no other, and it's a spectrum within the same industry. Well, that's happening all over, isn't it? And it would be amazing to think that we could wield our power as leaders in organizations, as friends, as family members, with more ability to be compassionate for how this might be on the other side.
Yeah, not making assumptions. Everyone is different and everyone is struggling. And also the external noise. You might be feeling very content and happy going back to work and really looking forward to it. But your partner might not be, or your children might not be, or, someone else might not be, and they might be concerned because they might be shielding, or, and all of that sadly comes down, it creates stress. And stress is one of the worst damaging things we can do to our body, isn't it? But yeah, I'm really excited about the topic of ascending leadership, of the evolvement of leadership. So we're going to have just talking about, if you're just joining us, just talking about the Ascending Leadership Forum that we are having on Tuesday, the 23rd of March. It will be an evening event, so hopefully that will work for you if you are working that day, and obviously hopefully work for people that are stateside, and see anyone else in between if you're happy to get off at crazy o'clock. But we're really excited. Just to fill you in, so myself, Kim, Joe, Richard Bellars, who is one of our male authors from Women Leading, compassion is very much part of his journey and his beautiful message on leadership. We will be sharing all our insights that we can into helping you go back to leading and continue your leadership, but with a different view and also a compassionate view to ourselves, because it always starts from ourselves. Kim, just give us a little rundown of what you'll be talking about and where you'll kind of be covering with your section.
So really, from my part, it's going to be, how do you really lead with humanity, courage and kindness? And that starts with you. So you have to be able to lead yourself with kindness. And I think sometimes we miss that part. But, like we've been discussing so far already, I think the one thing that connects us all is we're all looking for a human experience. And we have all these things, like we've got user experience, we've got customer experience, we've got colleague experience. But the reality is we're all just human beings. And at our simplest, we want to be listened to, we want to be understood, and we want to be respected. And if we can do that for ourselves and also do that for others, then leading becomes really, really easy. And I think it's how do we take those, and it always makes me laugh that we call them soft skills, because if they really were soft, why do people find them so hard?
That's a good point.
Develop those soft skills and that empathy, and find a way of sharing some vulnerability without losing our credibility, to enable us to create the right culture for our people. So in a nutshell, that's going to be what I'm going to try and pass on to people when they come along.
Oh, that's a really important topic. I had the pleasure of interviewing Daisy Cooper, MP, who's the deputy leader of the Lib Dems this week. And she was just amazing. I mean, gosh, if we could get her along, I will ask her, you never know. But she was talking about boundaries. She's a mum. She's very dedicated to her family. She said, my priorities are my family, my health, and then my politics. And the poor woman's working 12, 14-hour days and has been for months now. Just remarkable. But she said, I will actually always prioritize. And she puts herself first. And I was the first politician I've ever really heard said that. And I've interviewed quite a few now. That's a really good, she's in a very good position to talk about, that these guys are really changing what's happening to us right now. on every level, and the area she works in as well, within politics. But yeah, I thought that was a great role model and a great message to actually, it's got to start from us. Yeah, so is there anything else you want to share on this topic before we finish off on our nice kind of just lovely chat between us three of us today?
I think for me, the focus for my part of the forum will be on mental health life skills. So I've been looking a lot into that, and in particular, just the power of your thoughts and noting how every thought either is giving you power or taking it away. And which is it? Which is this individual thought doing, and then all the thoughts that gives rise to. So we'll be looking at really practical things. You do not have to believe everything you think. You really don't. If you're like me, you think 100 completely conflicting things in a day, probably 1,000. So it's practical though. And I think that's the thing in the forum, is we want it to be a place where people can speak from the heart. And as Kim said, to find that balance where we can be vulnerable without losing our credibility. I actually think that's a really important point, because I think that's a huge fear people have in leadership positions. If they show their vulnerability, they'll lose all credibility. So how do you do it in a way that doesn't? How are you vulnerable in a way that actually builds trust rather than destroys it? So I'm looking forward to that, some honest conversations, but some practical conversations, so that you walk away feeling skilled, right? Skillful.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And thank you for raising that point. It will be a safe space. We will be inviting you to talk and share, and obviously there will be breakout rooms where you can connect with others. But it's a conversation. It's not a lecture of 4 different experts delivering and telling you what they think. It's an involved and considerate conversation. So look forward to seeing you on the 23rd of March. The tickets will be available in Eventbrite. They'll be going live today, and we will obviously post into the Women Leading Facebook group how to get those tickets too. So any questions, please ask myself, Joe, or Kim. We're all connected on Facebook or obviously on LinkedIn, and we will be back 2 weeks time, not live that time, but we will be back 2 weeks time with Asma Begum, the founder of the Soul Sisters Empowering People charity. If there's ever a charity that shows a beautiful message for the future, it's not just about helping domestic abuse victims, for that are women. She also helps men too. And I think that's a beautiful message to come out of her own story, which is so powerful. It'll just blow you away. Her story is remarkable. So take care, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Join our Facebook group if you haven't, at the Women Leading Show, and get in touch if we can help. Take care for now. Bye-bye.
Bye.